when you think you're done with all of this stuff. So, pretty expected interest, if I'm honest, on the Tracklocross bike. If you think about it, there's a certain romantic aspect to Tracklocross bikes and the idea of Tracklocross racing. When you break it down to the two elements that is Tracklocross bikes, it's hard to not be interested. Cyclocross racing, easily the most inviting and probably the most fun events to see in the cycling world. Track bikes, well, they're just cool. It's hard to find one that isn't sort of cool looking, and the idea of it's sort of difficult. So there's an interest there. Not to mention that access and specific parts for Tracklocross bikes don't really exist. Therefore, it makes it kind of fun to build and make whatever you want to make, whatever your interpretation of Tracklocross is, a reality. So yeah, I can see why there's like a lot of interest in the one I built and the one that everybody else builds. So with a lovely dusting of snow last night, cold temperature in the air, there's no better time than now to allow that to fall while it's behind me. Or to fully and completely go over what exactly this build is from top to bottom. I love that there was no derailleur hanger to bend there. Oh. So let's start off with the frame, shall we? Obviously, based on this right here, it is a Poseidon. So you can consider this bike check a little bit biased, but if I was you, I wouldn't think about it too much. So this is the Poseidon FX Tracklocross frame. Comes with the frame, the headset, and fork only. Mine is a size large, which is a 55 centimeter. Pretty well perfect for my weird. The way I currently have this built uses the frame, the headset, and I'm pretty sure, Lewis, you can, it also came with a seat post clamp. So I'm using the frame, the headset, and the seat post clamp that came with the bike shipped in the box. It's 6061 hydroformed aluminum, pretty typical for most aluminum bikes. It has 120 mil spacing in the rear for a typical track hub. It does have a rear like caliper brake bridge, which actually I don't love. This 33 actually gets fairly close to it. And we're like here on the dropout. I'd almost like to see this gone because I'm never going to use a rear brake. But for people who've sent me pictures of their FX frame sets, they actually do have a rear brake on. So like obviously it needs to be there, but unfortunately the brake bridge is actually the limiting factor. It's the spot where you can't put a bigger tire on because there's loads and loads of room in here and there's loads and loads of room on the sides. It's just this needs to go. Or just machining all of this away and leaving just like a thin brake bridge to make myself feel better about. It also has a thread here so that you can put a fender on. I'm never going to do that on this bike. And it uses the metal inserts so that it doesn't mar up the aluminum in your dropout. Right now I have one of the bolts out because I can't get it to sit flush enough. And when I try and tighten the nut, it pushes the wheel forward and all my chain tension goes away. So like minor stuff, but not something you'd ever be upset about for a $200 frame set. 27.2 seat post diameter, straight steer head tube, and the headset that is shipped with it is like loose ball caged bearing. It's not sealed. The head tube angle on the size large is 72 degrees. Pretty normal. That's a head tube angle that I'm happy with. It has no toe overlap. The fork itself came from my Schwinn Vantage RX1. That bike has donated a lot of parts to a lot of bikes in this shed, and that's kind of like the final donate. The fork that comes with this bike would be totally adequate and wouldn't be a problem. It's an aluminum fork leg fork with a steel steer tube. I had this, I wanted to use it, so I did. If you've got it, use it. As a matter of fact, if I needed to, if I wanted to use like a different set of wheels on this, it's a possibility that I would almost need to swap to the other fork because this through axle could prove to be a bit of an annoyance for track wheel sets. As an overall package for $199 to get you the like starting point to build whatever you want to build, I don't know that it's beatable. It's as straight and as stiff as other aluminum bikes I've ridden, aside of course from the LA Sprint that I own. Okay, so drivetrain. A lot of questions about what I'm using for gearing. Right now I have my old beat up FSA Gossamer with a unknown, I have no idea what it is, 46 tooth chainring for a 1/8 chain, and it is matched up with a also unknown like 17 tooth cog. Pretty tough gear for what this bike is. It's quite tall. It's great on the road, but it certainly does not offer the torque that I would like to have for when I was riding like those rooty sections that you saw in the video I made for Dan. Bottom bracket that I have in here right now is actually the one that came out of the Poseidon X with the stock cranks. And then like all my bikes, just like a Shimano SPD, I think these are the 540s. I'd have no problem riding a 520. Something reliable enough that you know that your foot's not going to come out at a really important time. Definitely don't want that. And actually something I was curious about when I was looking at it was seeing what the chain line is. 44-ish. Typically you'd want to shoot for 42, so that's pretty close. Long FSA OS 99 stem bell. These came off the cheap dad bike, gravel bike type build thing that was a drop bar bike before and is a no bar bike right now. The saddle and seat post, they were donated also by the Schwinn. So this is a Physique Ponente saddle with a marginally set back 27.2 seat post. Now for probably the part that interests everyone the most, the wheels. The wheels were also donated by my Vantage RX-1 for one pretty main reason, and then a second one that came up the first time I rode this bike. So I wanted to use the fork from the RX-1, which meant I would have to use the wheel because, you know, through axle, it's what I had. And then of course, if you go back and watch the build of the Tracklocross bike itself, you'll know that I didn't want to just have a nice tubeless ready front wheel on the front and not have a matching one for the rear. So I pulled apart the geared 11-speed hub from this wheel and swapped the sides of the spokes and rebuilt it with a Soma Fabrications track hub that I had in stock in the shed. Now the rims, they are Alex Draw 2.1s. I don't know that you can actually purchase them aftermarket from Alex. They are 17 mil internal width, tubeless ready. They've got the shoulders to make sure that the tire stays on. When the tire goes on, it pops onto the bead quite loud, which is good. Anyway, I'm really satisfied with the tubeless setup on this. Once it finally stopped being so stubborn and it would hold air, if you can just take the pinch flat factor out of your ride, it's just one less thing to think about. The tires are non-tubeless ready specialized tracers. They are size 700 by 33. They're the sports. They are not tubeless ready. I probably will go through rear tires quite quickly. That's why I want to change the gearing to something just a little bit easier while I'm going down descents, so I don't find myself skidding so much. And more about my tubeless setup. These valves I cut out of old tubes. Okay, what else? The rotor on the front, it's always going to stay on here because I do know that there will eventually be some ride at some point that I feel I need to put a caliper and a front brake lever on, and when that time comes, I don't want to have to deal with these stupid ISO 6 bolts when it's already on. It triggers so many people, it bothers them so much, but honestly, I think that's reason number 2 that I'm going to leave it there. It's just missing something. Who's going to bring it up in the comments? Oh, the weight. Yeah, the weight. I don't know how much it weighs. It weighs this much. Not a lot. It's probably under 19 pounds. It might even be 18. Everyone gets so worked up about weight of a bike. You should stop worrying about that so much. It's going to drive you insane. Okay, I hope that answers all of your burning questions about the Spindat Poseidon Tracklocross build. If I missed anything, you'll let me know in the comments anyway, so continue to do that. If you want to support more builds like this, or the channel and the goals that it has, go ahead, support the channel on Patreon. Buy all of your goods and needs, everything that you could possibly want through any Amazon link below. Anything you buy, whether it's the thing in that link or something that you bought just getting through with that link, proceeds that come to the channel. It helps, you know, keep watching every daily vlog. The more the numbers go up, the more my motivation to keep going continues. And, you know, just ride your bike, have fun, stay sane. Okay, I hope this was entertaining and killed enough time for me to be able to go play with 2x4s, practice skinnies in the yard right now. Angela's never run skinnies before, or ridden a skinny before. So put a 2x6 sitting out there. You just need to ride over it. Okay, we gotta put it higher up. Gotta put it higher up. Okay, so it's too easy.